Hi folks, today we have an amazing video tutorial on what's arguably the best and most advanced home search program on the web. If you want to be able to find your house, specifically the house of your dreams, easier and faster and with more fun, then you certainly want to be using this program. Before I get started, I want to make sure that I remind you that this is the second video in a two-part series. In the first video we discussed other home search programs including Trulia and Zillow and some others. And in those, we showed you that they're tricking the buyers into providing their contact information by presenting thousands of listings that these homes aren't even really for sale. The buyers are giving their contact information to find out about these houses. Then they get a call from an agent who simply says that the house is sold and offers to sell them show them others. In a recent comparison that we did on one of these sites, we found out that only 5 out of 53 homes were actually accepting offers. So don't get caught. Imagine going through 53 listings, looking at all those pictures, all that criteria, calling agent after agent after agent, only to find out that the house had been, sold a long time ago or was never even for sale in some cases. So don't get caught. Go to the first video and watch that as you get a chance. It's right under our blog section here on the Own San Diego Real Estate website. Under blogs, go to how-to videos. By the way, before we get started and I show you this awesome home search functionality, let me just show you a real quick and easy shortcut to get to the Own San Diego Real Estate website. No need to type in that really long web address of ownsanDiegoRealEstate.com. Instead, you can simply go to our easy landing page called San Diego for You. And we've abbreviated that for you, SD, the number 4, the letter U.com. That's it. If you remember San Diego for You and remember the abbreviation SD4U.com, then you're going to get to our landing page. Click the big Own San Diego Real Estate button, and you're right to our home page. From here, you can find the videos under blogs, how-to videos, and on the home search, which is what we're going to look at today, you'll find the home search functionality. Let me make one last distinction, and that is don't click the search website button. That would be to look for things on our website. The home search button is what you're looking for. You might have noticed that as we clicked this, there were these sub-menus. We could have clicked one of the sub-menus. Forget them. Just click right on home search. It's going to open up the main functionality. We're going to start from there. This should already look completely different than what you're used to. Usually, you have a two-part process. You put your search criteria in, such as we have here, and then you click a search button and you go to a results page. Well, that causes you a lot of harm without you even knowing it. You're going to discover that as we look at this particular search functionality. In this case, we've got the search criteria on this side, and the results are showing up right next to it in real time as we're putting in our search criteria. So we've got 5,957 listings all throughout San Diego County of all types of listings. As we turn back around and put our mouse over the different cities, we notice that there's some statistics. In Fallbrook, there's 379 listings. And the reason we're not seeing all the little houses here is simply that with 5,957 of these listings, it's too many to show. We could never get that many little dots on the page. So when we're zoomed out, when we don't have any search criteria in here for the most part, there's so many results, then it just gives you an overview of the cities to help you understand where you might want to live. If you're a higher end buyer looking at maybe the $1.5 million to maybe $3-4 million houses, you want to be down here in the Del Mar and Rancho Santa Fe area. If you are a buyer who is looking to going into an entry-level house, maybe a $250,000, $300,000 house, or perhaps a condo that's even less expensive, then simply placing your mouse over these different cities will give you options that maybe you'd never thought of. You never knew that the median price of a house in Escondido was $309,000. Oceanside, only $320,000. Santee, only $260,000 for a median price in Santee. So this is how you use the map to kind of determine areas that you might want to live. Once you've got an idea where you want to live, we're going to go in, we're going to zoom in on that area. There's two ways to do it. One is you can just click. For example, I can click on Santee, or I could come over here and I could type in the 92071, I believe is Santee. We're going to skip. I don't feel like typing. I'm just going to click. And now I'm zooming in, and I went from almost 6,000 results down to 52 results. Those 52 results have been filtered specifically now to these three criteria: either a detached home, which would be a single family residence, all other attached, that's your condos, single floor condos, and townhomes. A lot of people ask me, what's a townhome? A townhome is a condo that has 2 floors, right? Inside the condo, it's got a stairwell that goes to a second level. So that's the difference between a condo and a townhome. And in this case, we're going to say that our buyer, our example buyer, said, you know, I feel like I want to buy a single family house, and I qualify for enough that that's what I want to do. So let's go ahead and get rid of the condos and townhomes. Now we're down all the way to 43 results. This is enough. There's so few here that we could almost just stop now and put our mouse over each individual blip and see if the house interested us. But most people have a budget. Their lenders told them, hey, you can only qualify for $325,000, and sometimes they've come back and said, yeah, but I really only feel comfortable with a $275,000 purchase price. I don't know why the lender told me 325. I feel that the price of the payment every month was too much for me. I'd rather stick with 275. So we've got these numbers that we've got to stay within. We can't just buy any house. We're going to go ahead and, just like we would over here on with these other websites, we're going to determine a maximum price. In this case, we had 300,000, so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put 300,000 under our price. Maximum 300,000. We don't need to put a minimum price in when we're down on the low end. If you were looking for a house somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million, yeah, then that makes sense. But when we're down on the low end, there's just not that many houses, so it's we don't want to filter out the results and not have anything to see. Okay, so another thing that we should talk about right off the bat. Now, by the way, now we're down to 11 properties. That's it. We really don't want to filter out any more because there's so few properties and there's so many buyers out there right now that what we'll find is that we've filtered ourselves right out of home ownership. There's no houses left for us to buy. But there is one more thing that we should do at minimum, and we should go in over here on foreclosures and click exclude short sales. Now this is going to change later in the year. Right now we're just entering June of 2012 as I'm making this video. Probably by maybe October of 2012, we should see significant changes in the short sales due to a settlement that the banks reached with the 50 states. And in that settlement, they agreed to handle the short sales in a different way, to be more expeditious and to actually approve them, where currently over half of them are failing and going to foreclosures. But that's later in the year. The agreements are in place. They're moving towards putting those processes in place. However, they're not there yet. So we still see lots and lots of failures and lots of buyers being hurt on that. It's good for the sellers because they're able to unload that in the way of the short sale instead of the foreclosure, but the buyer should still be wary. If you have any questions on that, or if you have questions on why it is that the short sales seem to be listed at such a low price, but when you go in and look at the solds, that obviously they didn't sell that price, they sold for more. If you have questions on why stuff like that's happening, just give me a call and I'll go over it with you. For now, through probably August, September, October of this year, minimum August, but really September, October of this year, we should be excluding them. We're going to go ahead and exclude the short sales here. All right, so now that we've done that, if we were smart, we would stop right now and we would look. It would take us a minute and a half to, not even that, 30 seconds to go over each one of these properties and see what the, whether or not it was something that interested us. But in this case, let's see what would have happened if we were using one of these other websites where you put everything in advance and then just go to your results page. In this case, they were searching like we did in CNT. They wanted 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Like us, they had a $300,000 purchase price maximum and 1,250 square foot single family home. Let's go on back. We've already got the single family home in there, and we've already got the 300,000 in there. The home size on the other one was 1,250. And the beds and baths were 3 and 2. Look at this. When I put 1,250, we dropped down to only 4 results. 4 results. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Now we're down to 3 results. And this is the danger that you have on using some of these other websites. You're not seeing the results of your filtering as you're doing it, because on these other websites, all your filtering is done at once. All you know is you only had 3 properties. Right now, if you only have 3 properties, your chances of home ownership are not that great. With the number of buyers that we have out of the market, you're going to get outbid more often than not, and sooner or later, if you can continue to bid, sooner or later it'll be your turn and you'll get into a house. But if you only have 3 properties, even if other properties come on the market, the possibility that they're going to come on with the filtering criteria that you've got in place is still unlikely because there's only 3 to start with. All right, so let's go ahead and leave the 3 properties on there though for our example. We're going to go forward. We're going to look at other things. Right now, we're going to put our mouse over the property blips, and we see that this one is Indian Wells, $299, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It's a little bit high for us because we had said that we wanted, in our example, no more than really a $275,000 purchase price. So let's click on it and see what the likelihood that we might be able to negotiate a good deal on this. Right off the bat, I want to point out this says it's an active listing. On many of the other websites, they say that they're active listings as well. Most of them are not being honest. This is truly an active listing. It doesn't include any contingents, no pendings, no pre-foreclosures, no foreclosures that aren't listed yet, and all the other things that you saw in the first video. And again, if you haven't seen the first video, go back and look at it. This particular website is going to focus your attentions on properties that are currently accepting offers. That's the best place to start. So as we get into it, again, we wanted a property of $275 or less. We were stretching it because there were so few properties out there that were within our price range. We went all the way to $299. What's the thought process here on whether or not they're going to be willing to accept a lower offer? And the answer is it really has to do with 2 things. 1, the number of days on the market, and 2, has there been any recent pricing changes? In this case, the house has only been on the market for 12 days. The seller is still under the belief, and he may be correct, that if he waits a little bit longer, he's going to get a full price offer. Now, there's 2 types of sellers that we talk about when we start talking about whether or not it's reasonable to see a price reduction anytime soon. We've got sellers like this that are a equity sale. We know that this house is an equity sale because there's no yellow box right under this gray box. If this was a foreclosure or a short sale, there would be a big yellow box right here that said the listing agent indicated that this was a foreclosure, or the listing agent indicated this was a short sale. Read it, read that yellow box if it shows up, understand what type of sale you're in. If there is no yellow box, then it's an equity sale. It's a sale by a person who owns the house and they have the right to sell it on their own. Remember that an equity sale would also include investors who had bought a house for a smaller amount and were flipping it. But having said that, they still have equity in the house. Okay, now, we know this is not a foreclosure because there's no yellow box here telling us, and hopefully one of our examples will show a yellow box today. We'll take a look. There's no yellow box telling us it's a foreclosure, so we know that it is a equity sale. And in an equity sale, the seller will normally reduce the price within 45 to 60 days, sometimes 30 days, but usually 45 to 60 days. As long as they've got equity and they want to sell the house, they'll normally come to a realization that they're not going to get an offer at the price they've got it listed at. They'll lower it. Well, in this case, we've only got 12 days on the market. Of course, they haven't reduced the price yet because it's only been on the market 12 days. But with only 12 days on the market, it's not likely that they're going to be willing to come down from $299 to $275. Plus, on a $275 purchase, our buyer's probably asking the seller to pay all of their closing costs as well. That's another $10,000 or $12,000. So it's not likely that this is going to work for our buyer. So we would click here and we would enter notes. You can see I've already made the notes here in our example, but we would enter notes right here. We would type in and say only on market 12 days and not likely to drop the price, but we might want to check back on this later. Let's say that we'd gone in and we had looked at the pictures, we'd looked at all the information on the house. We really liked the house, and what it just was that we'd rather focus on one that had a better likelihood of a price reduction if there was one. By the way, there's one other thing I want you to look at every single time. All kinds of information down here, but I want you to look at the Mello-Roos and the homeowner's fee every single time to make sure that there aren't any that you weren't expecting. Just because it's a single family house doesn't mean that there's not homeowners association fees. So make sure that those homeowners association fees are not there. If they are, make sure to come up and use the True Mortgage calculator to figure out what your complete payment's going to be. Make sure that's going to keep you within the budget that you've set for yourself. The video on how to use the True Mortgage calculator is right with the other video under blogs, how-to videos. All right, we may touch bases on that a little bit later, but for right now, let's say we'd gone in, we'd made some notes in here, we've made our notes, whatever they are, we saved them, and we decided we want to come back and look at this later. Let's click and put it as a favorite. Now that we've saved it as a favorite, it'll always be available. Whenever we're logged into our search functionality, it'll always be right under our listings. Here it is, and if we click on it, it'll take us right to this details page. All right, now notice here we've got two tabs. The details tab, that's showing us the details of this house, and the maps tab. That's where we started off, was on the maps tab. You might notice that there's one change since we were here last. This used to be a green blip with a house on it. Now it's a favorite star because we've made this one of our favorites. All right, let's go in and take a look at our next house, which is on Buena Vista Avenue. Sure enough, this one has our yellow bar, our yellow box here, indicating that it is a foreclosure. If it was a short sale, it would say it was a short sale. If it said that it was a short sale, you might want to go back over here and check this box, because as long as this box is checked, you should not be looking at the short sales. And right now, at least through August, September, hopefully October of this year, you shouldn't be searching for short sales. So make sure that box is checked. If it is, the only time you'll get a yellow box will be if it's a foreclosure and no short sales will show up. All right, remember our buyer wanted a wanted a 275 house, 275 or less. And in this case, it's 299 as well. What is the likelihood that it will be able to be dropped in price? Remember when we talked on equity sales, the last one, that's where somebody owns equity in the house. They're good with the house. In those sales, we said 45 to 60 days on the market, and the seller normally reduces the price. However, on a foreclosure, every 30 days to 45 days on the market, the seller reduces the price. And let's talk about another thing before we go down and look any further. Normally on a foreclosure, the seller, the asset manager, the person who's acting as a seller, he doesn't have the authority to drop the price much more than about 7% to 10% below the purchase price. So that means if you were to go in this case it's listed at 300,000, right? 299.5. 10% of 300,000 is 30,000. So if you were to make an offer of less than 270, it almost positively would not be within the asset manager's authority to accept your offer. He's got a 7% to 10% maximum normally that he can accept for people who are making offers and they're using a loan. So understanding that, we know that we want to try to keep within that range, and that's why we had this $299,000 purchase price. At $299,000 or $300,000, we know they can go down as much as 10%. That put it within the range of our buyer, who said that he wanted a $275,000 purchase price or less. So that's why we did it. Let's go on down, and if you didn't understand that, give me a call and I'll explain it. But it's very important to understand so that you make sure that you're looking at the right houses. All right, now let's take a look at this particular one. We see that it has been on the market for 131 days, a long time. And the listing price history is indicating no price changes recorded. That's very unusual. Every 30 to 45 days, normally, the asset manager will reduce this. This house is ripe for a price reduction. And this house is ripe for kind of a little trick that we use sometimes to get a really good deal. Remember, I just talked to you about the fact that normally they can only go, almost all the time, they can only go down by 10%, down to 270 on this particular house. But this house offers us another possibility. Because they're so close to a price reduction, in fact, they were way overdue for a price reduction. Because they're so far past the price reduction, we might go in more than 10% below the purchase price. Maybe instead of 270, we would go in at 260. Now, the asset manager doesn't have the ability to accept our offer at 260,000. That's because they can only go down 10,000. I'm sorry, 10% down to 270. But they're already ready for a price reduction. So they'll turn back around, they'll reduce the price from 299 down to 280, and they'll see if they get any offers. And if they don't, they'll come back and accept our offer at 260. And the $260,000 offer that we made is now within 10% of the newly lowered purchase price of 280 or maybe 275. So you get an idea that there's a trick there. Hopefully you followed that. If you didn't, give me a call. I'll go over it with you. All right, as we drop on down here, we always want to look for those homeowners fees and those mellow-roos to make sure that we don't have a payment that's going to be more than what we anticipated. Okay, let's go on back. Again, we've got our details. On this one, definitely we're going to save this as a favorite. It's definitely going to have the possibility of going within our buyer's price range of 275. We would go in, we would make some notes on here and say, what did we say, 131 days? Yeah, 131 days since 131 days and no price reduction. Make a low offer. All right, so we've got that there. We click save. Again, we've got our details that we're on right now. We're going to go back to the map so that we can see our map again. We have our third criteria, our third result. On our third result, it's right in at the 275 level that we wanted. So automatically, we're ready for this house. We can afford this house according to the payment that our buyer said that they wanted. Now, we're going to drop on down and see other things about it. Again, we already know how to use the picture functionality. This area right here is just the ad for the listing agent. This is what the listing agent wrote about the property. We know that this is an equity sale because there's no yellow box. Don't forget to look for that yellow box. Been on the market for 75 days, and it has had a price reduction. But the price reduction was way back on April 8th. So this is 45 days ago. So remember, we talked, normally speaking, in a equity sale, which this one isn't, there's no yellow box, it's an equity sale, 45 to 60 days we see a price reduction. This one is also ready for a price reduction. We'll check in, make sure we've got no mellow-roos and that we'll have no HOA fees. Everything looks good. We're going to save it as a favorite. We're going to make some notes and say something like, price is already good, but it's more than 40 days, 45 days since drop, so might be able to get it cheaper. And we'll make our spelling correction. All right, click save. Okay, so now what we've done is we've gone in. If you remember, our concern was that we had so filtered our map that we only had 3 results, and that our likelihood of getting one of these 3 results might not be so great. We could go back, because we're seeing the filtering area and how it was having an effect. We could go back and change things. We could go back and say, oh, well, maybe instead of a 1,250 square foot house, I could deal with a 1,000 square foot house. Now we've got all kinds of other possibilities, right? But let's leave that there. We could also go back in and we could say, yeah, well, I could do with a 1-bath house. Did nothing for us. Oh, I did. It added one, right? This one right here, it added it right in. So we've got the ability to play with the search criteria and see the results immediately on our page and how they're affecting us. Now, if we came back to the page later on, we logged back in, we were at the home page, we clicked the home search, we log in, where are all of those listings that we saved, that we said were our favorites? Well, the answer is they're right under our listings. They're right here. If I were to go in and click on any one of these, it's going to bring that particular property up in the Details tab, and I now have the ability to go in and take a look at my notes and whatever else that I wanted to do, check the status of the property, see if there's been any listing price history updates, things like that. So let's go on back to our map. The next thing that we want to look at is searches. Now, real estate agents have the ability to set you up on searches, and sometimes for high-end clients this is just fine. But for most clients, it's better if you set yourself up on the search yourself. And I'm going to show you why. And once you understand this, you're going to absolutely become much more appreciative of your own control of your success. So the problem is that as a listing agent, if I go into the MLS, that's the real listings, that's the real program that the agents use. If I go into the MLS and I set you up on a search, every night at the end of the search, it's going to every night at the end of the day, it's going to go in and it's going to perform a search, and it's going to see if there's any pricing updates or any new listings that met your search criteria. For example, we said on our last one that we were looking in Santee, we were only looking at single family homes, we were looking at a price range maximum of $300,000 and a home size, minimum home size 1,250 square foot. We said we wanted 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. And all we had were those 3 properties, right? Oh, and we got rid of the short sales. Now, as an agent, I can go in and I can do this on Sandecor, which again is the real MLS. And every night it'll go in and it'll search and see if there's anything new that's happened. And if something's new, it'll send you an email. The problem is the email that it sends to you is just an email. All it does is give you information, but no ability to interact with it. In this case, the client has told the real estate agent to over-filter the results to where the client is actually hurting themselves. They have a very unlikely chance of success because there's so few possibilities. But if the client had gone in on the website here and had set up a search like we just did, then they thought, well, this is what I really want. I'm going to try to make that work. If they want to have those updates themselves, if they want to have the system update them every day themselves, they just click Save this search. It comes up and says, well, what type of search is this? And you're going to put your Santee 300K or less, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, no short sale. Something like that. And it says, yeah, send me an email update, please. Okay, click Save. That's it. It's done. Every night, this is going to send you an email on anything that's changed. And it's a fantastic opportunity for you. And let me show you why. Now we're going to go to the particular, let's go back over here to home search emails. And what we see is, first of all, this is an email that came out on that search that we just did. And what we see is that at the top of it, it's got my great big long ad that you skip right on by. And you get down to the bottom and you see that there are these listings that came out and changed. This is very similar to what Sandecor does with one difference. Let me show you this other email as well. Down at the bottom, here we see new ones. These are ones that there's just been some type of a change on it. This is one where they increased the price. If they reduce the price, it would be in green and it would say reduced price. So it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on in this search over the last couple of days. Now, it does something more, though, something that's absolutely important. On a Sandecor one, you could click and you could look at the information about the property, but that would be about it. Here, as we look at the one that you set up, the one that you're in control of, what we see is that when it opens it up, puts you right onto the details page, right in the same map area. And the really cool thing is that if day after day you're not getting any great results, if you see that your search is failing to provide you with the results that are going to be necessary for you to be successful, then it's easy for you to simply click over to the map and see what else is there. And if there's nothing else there, I'll take a look. In this case on the map, they've now shown you things that are in the general vicinity that are not specifically within Santee, for example. So we've got the ability to drag this map around and change things that would never have gotten changed if you were getting that email from Sandecor. Just drag the map around and see what else is around you in that area. Just put your mouse over and see that just a few blocks away from this house in Santee is this one in El Cajon for $250,000, well within your purchase price range that you had. It's got a huge lot. It's got all kinds of things that maybe this is going to be a great opportunity for you. I do want to point out, I can't move my mouse to show you on it, but if you notice the price is $249 in gray, and then below it, it says $299.9, and there's a little V there. That V stands for variable. It's a variable range listing. And in reality, technically, it's a $299,000 offer price, not a $249,000. So look for that. It's another way that people just try to get you to look at the houses. Okay, so the point was, pardon me, the point that we have was that as we were looking at these different listings that had come up, and they weren't providing us the search results that we wanted, we had the ability to drag our map around and to do different things that if we had gotten a static email, one that didn't allow us to play with it, we never would have changed those. Once we've changed this, if we wanted, we could go in, back over here, we're on the results. We're looking at all of the houses. As you put your mouse over one of these, it shows you where it is on the map. Okay. And we can, of course, click on any one over here that we want and look specifically at that one as well. But let's just go back. To get back to our search criteria, we just use the search tab here, right? Results show us everything that came up. Search shows us the search criteria we did. If we wanted, we could save this search. And notice that it's not saying Santee, it's saying visible map area. It's going to show us every night. It's going to redo our search, but it's not only going to show us the stuff here, it's going to also show us the outline areas. And it's the process of playing with this map, like what we're doing right here, that makes the buyers successful. They get out and they look at things that they would never allow their real estate agent to look at because they just really weren't interested in Santee until they are in, for example, El Cajon. But then one of them just happened to pop up a couple blocks away, and they put their mouse over it, and they thought, maybe I'll go out and look at that. So don't sell yourself short. Real estate agents like to set people up on Prospector because it's an easy way of advertising. It's free. It's getting an email sent out to you almost daily with that real estate agent's name on it, and it's a great way of him keeping in touch with you. But it's not the best way for you to get your searches done. In this case, we're going to save this search again. We're going to call this one the Santee area, 300 or less. Right? Not Santee, but it's the area. Santee and the areas around it, 300 or less, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, no short sales. I'm going to save that one as well. Now, the only issue that we have with this is that because we've done that, we now have under our searches 2 searches. One in Santee and one that includes Santee and the surrounding areas. And the problem that we're going to have is that, well, yes, we're getting 15 results here, and we want that. 3 of the results are the same 3 that were over here. We don't really need this one up here anymore. We can just delete that. Now we're going to get Santee and all the surrounding areas. And what happens if you wanted to change something? Again, not just the map, but what about other search criteria? If you'd had the real estate agent set this up on his prospector, then you have to call the real estate agent or send an email. When he gets a chance, he goes in, he changes things around. But here, you're in control. You've got the ability to click edit. And when you do, this is going to turn from green to blue. And now you can go in and say, you know what? I really didn't need that 2-bathroom. I could have done with 1. And I'm okay. I'm going to drop from 1,400 square foot in this case back down to the 1,250 square foot. And then you can save the changes, and now every night you're going to get emails with new updated search results that have to do with your latest search criteria. This is super powerful. It's going to allow you the ability to be successful where in other search systems, on other websites, you just don't have the ability to follow through in the way that you can here. Let's look at just a couple of last examples of things that are oh, and by the way, see where it says up here, done editing. We can click Done Editing, and it turns back to green, and now we're all set. Our search is still up here, but because we changed it, our new search will show including 1-bedrooms. We should have changed the name as well, but it's good enough. It would also show 1-bedrooms, and it would show all the way down to 1250 square foot. We have the ability to update whether we get this sent nightly, weekly, or never. If you don't ever want it sent, just uncheck it. You won't get any more emails. If you want it to be sent more often than nightly, which is the default, then just go into your profile right here and change it from nightly to weekly. It's just as simple as that. And by the way, if you change it from your profile, it changes it for all of the searches that you've got. You may decide to put 6 or 7 different searches. You might do one for Santee. If you're looking at condos and houses, you absolutely should do different searches. And you need to look at the video on the True Mortgage Calculator to understand how to do that. But you obviously are going to want a lower purchase price on a condo because you have to take into account those HOA fees. So you would want to do a separate search for condos and a separate search for single-family houses. The single-family houses could cost a little bit more. All right, now we're going to, we'll click our Save Our Changes there. Let's take a look at a last couple of criteria that just give you a little bit more control, and then we will go through and finish off our video. Let's start with the map, the type map right here. What type of map do you want to look at? Sometimes it's neat to just click on the map area and say you want to look at terrain. Maybe you'd really like to live on a property that out of your backyard you were looking at the mountains or something like that. Maybe you really, really want to live in a property that is a house that's really right in the middle of everything and you don't have to go far for a grocery store. Well, in that case, you might want to change it from terrain to the hybrid like you see on Google and zoom right in. And now you're beginning to understand where these properties are located in results to shopping centers and things like that, right? So you've got different ways of looking at your map. I'm going to just put that right back on just a regular map for right now. I'm going to zoom back out. And I'm going to use another search, not that far. I think that might be too far. We're going to go down to show the school information. We may be too far out. Nope. What results show up here depend on what school districts are within the map area. So in this case, if you thought to yourself, I really want to have either like Alpine has a good school district, or also, what else here? San Diego has Ramona has an amazing school district. That's kind of way up there, way up here in the corner. You can barely see that. And then we've got Santee has got a great school district as well. So you could pick your school districts, drop them in, where you want to go, and look for the houses that might be within those school districts. And also, if you were concerned, for example, you didn't, for example, maybe you wanted to make sure that you were not in any case in the, let's say the El Cajon School District. Is it in here? Alpine, Chula Vista, Amul. Oh, we'll just pick one for fun. Let's say that you said that you didn't want to be anywhere in the San Diego Unified School District, then you would know to stay out of these houses. But all these other ones that were, off to the side over here, they were possibilities. And certainly there's some over here that, like in La Mesa, we could have had some in La Mesa that were awful close to Santee that would have been possibilities as well. So we saw the ability to use the school districts to help us to focus in on things that are important to us. In addition, we've got the ability to look at the map statistics. The map statistics show you what's happening for a certain area, whatever area you're zoomed into. So our map statistics will change as we get in, and now we're just looking at these particular houses. If you wanted to get an idea of in Santee specifically, in Santee, for the houses that you were interested in, what are the statistics? Then it's going to show you for the houses that show up in here what the statistics are for the house. So we've got that as well. You've got lots of other search functionality down here. And I think that you guys will be very, very impressed with the overall usage of this program. I want to point out one last thing, and then we'll give you information about the web page. I want to point out that when you search, let's go back up here. It's just important to realize the difference. When you search by a zip code or you click on a city, like we used Santee as an example, or we could have gotten rid of Santee and we could have put in 92071. That's Santee. When we did that and it zoomed into Santee, then this is our visible map. That's what we're looking at. You can choose to zoom out and it will change to visible map. Use that to your benefit as you are going through and saving your searches. Try to stay away from saving a search specifically in the city of Santee, because you know that if you do that, there's just a couple of blocks away the house of your dreams that you never saw. So forget it. Instead, zoom in. You look at all of Santee and also look at the outskirts of these other areas that are very, very close. As you save your searches, use that visible map area to your benefit. All right, a couple more things about our webpage. The first thing is if you are a buyer and you are looking for first-time home buyer programs, we have information under the Buyers tab, first-time home buyer programs, County of San Diego, first-time home buyer programs. Look through that information. I think you'll find it very interesting. You'll find that the calculator, the True Mortgage Calculator, also helps you to calculate the benefit of those programs. We also have buyer solutions for regular buyers. For sellers who are trying to sell their home, we offer everything that traditional agents offer you in the sale of your home. We also offer the ability to waive our consultation fees for first-time home buyers to anyone who makes an offer on your house that wants to use a first-time home buyer program to buy your house. So great opportunities there as well. Down at the bottom of our page, we've got testimonials, people who have gone in, they've used us for one thing or another, and they've just dropped a little bit of information about how their experiences were with us. Go ahead and take a moment, take a look at that. If you've dealt with us, do me a favor, drop a testimonial, let people know if we're doing a good job of getting you the information you need. Absolutely, you should be following us on Facebook. We provide information that is just not available anywhere else. Click the link, it'll take you to our Facebook page. Look at the type of information that's on our timeline. I think that you will realize that it's something that you want to be following, and then click that you want to follow us, and you're going to get a lot of information there. We already put out the True Mortgage Calculator, very, very important part of your home search functionality. All right, my name is Don Gardnier, and I am President and CEO of Gardnier, Inc. It has been my pleasure to provide you with this information today, and I hope that it is absolutely going to help you to be more successful in your home search, and that it's going to make it more enjoyable. And as you find that success, I hope that it comes sooner than later. My name again, Don Gardnier. You can contact us by clicking the chat with Don. You can also click the email button to email us, and our phone number is down at the bottom of the page as well. And it's either on this writer or on this main screen. So lots and lots of ways to contact us. We look forward to your calls and being able to be a part of your homeownership dreams. Thank you.